I received this question on my YouTube page, and this question is in regards to the Total and Permanent Disability Discharge Program. In this particular borough, they received a discharge of their federal student loans under the Total and Permanent Disability Discharge Program due to the fact that they received Social Security benefits. Now, the question is they've now become employed. So, what exactly does that mean for them? As far as now that I'm employed, we have this 3-year post discharge monitoring period. Are my student loans going to be reinstated? Basically, is what the question is that they're asking. So when we talk about receiving a discharge of your federal student loans under the Total and Permanent Disability Discharge Program, there's a few things to think about. So if you're someone who receives Social Security benefits, you are still subjected to the 3-year post-discharge monitoring period. And although no, it's not necessarily connected to your income in regards to the Department of Education, because what the Department of Education is doing is more or less checking to make sure that you haven't taken on any new federal student loans. Now, because this person received benefits through the Social Security Administration, what that means for them is that the Social Security Administration, they have their definitions of what is income, what is earned income. And because this borrower is now earning income, there's a limit to it. In order for you to receive Social Security benefits, there's also a limit to it. And the reason is because the program was designed to provide that financial relief or that financial assistance to those who are disabled and who have limited access to, of course, income and other type of resources. So that is why they, not only because of their disability, but we got that financial part because of they're not able to make that amount of money. So when we talk about making money while receiving SSI benefits and receiving that discharge under the Total and Permanent Disability Discharge Program, if you're receiving SSI, like I said, it's connected to that federal poverty level that's in your state. What that is set at, and is the earnings that you have, the earnings that you're making every year, is that going to push you over that federal poverty level? Because if so, that means you would no longer qualify to receive Social Security benefits. And also what that would mean is if that annual employment income is also, if it's exceeding that amount, what that means is that, and this is through that 3-year post-monitoring discharge period for your federal student loans, is that those will be reinstated as well, because you're no longer eligible to receive Social Security disability or Social Security benefits. So now what that would mean is that, in the Department of Education and the Social Security Administration, they have a matching system where they're feeding each other information. Now, it hasn't always been the most perfect system, but it's there. It's available. So what that means is that when they're communicating with each other, and then the Department of Education gets that notice that you're no longer qualified for Social Security benefits. What that means, and especially like we're talking about during this 3-year post-monitoring discharge period, is what that would mean is that they would reinstate the loans. So now we're outside of that 3-year post-discharge monitoring period, then okay, have at it with your income. But if we're still during that time, what that would mean is that, yeah, you would be subjected to, potentially having those loans reinstated if we're making income that is above that poverty limit. And then also if, we're no longer qualifying for the disability discharge, because there's another word, that substantial gainful activity, that we also have to be, mindful of as well if we're going back into employment.